Okay, so I just want to talk with you again about this Mandela Effect and some of the things that have helped to set this up. So, of course, I'm talking about with Christians, especially how Christians have been able to be duped by this. It's from the Apostate church, and they want to make it seem like we're not to blame for our sin. And I mean Christians. You know, they will talk about how non-Christians will be judged for their sin, but some of them believe that there will be a second judgment seat just for Christians where we will not be condemned at all, but we will be given rewards for other things that we do, but not punished for what we do. That we will not receive any punishment whatsoever for anything that we do. And so it makes Christians, it absolves Christians of all responsibility for anything they do. Now, that's not the gospel, and that's not what the scriptures say. The New Testament absolutely is contrary to that. But that's what the apostate churches have taught. And some of them have gone as far as Joseph Prince has, of saying that we've got two different, we've got a positional righteousness and then a righteousness here on earth, and men judge us based on this righteousness, but God always sees us through the lens of Christ, so that we're never to blame in God's eyes. Now, this is radically sick. Radically sick. First off, it's directly contrary to the scriptures and the gospel that Jesus preached and what Paul preached. Paul did not preach that we are not held accountable for our sin. In fact, he said that we will be punished and we can be damned for what we do. And that's to Christians that he's writing. But we won't get off into that. The fact that the person is not to blame for his own faults, for his own sin or his own faults, this is apostate Christianity 101. And so when a Christian gets caught up in the Mandela Effect, it's very easy for him to, because then, he's already primed so that, my memory's not to blame. It's not. My memory's not to blame. I'm faultless. God won't blame me for anything. My memory can't be wrong. See, they make that leap. My memory can't be wrong, right? And that's the same thing of how they've been taught to approach Scripture. We're saved by faith alone, saved by faith alone, saved by faith alone. Anything else is works salvation. And so when they read the Scriptures, anything that may look like works salvation, they have this trained in their head that must not be what it says. Because we're saved by faith alone, saved by faith alone, saved by faith alone. And they equate justification as salvation, and it's not. And so when it says that we're justified by faith and not by works of the law, they truncate the works of the law and just leave works, so that we're justified by faith and not by works. And they'll truncate out. When they say it, they don't say the of the law on the end. And then they switch the justification to saved. We're saved by faith, not by works. It's not what it says. It's literally not what it says, but they don't care. That's what it has to say because that's what they were taught is true. And so when they run up against Jacob, aka James, where it says the man is justified by works, not by faith alone. Well, first off, justified, they interpret as saved. And so you can't be saved by works. And so that must be wrong. So they just completely ignore that. Some theologians have tried to say, well, that's just about the earthly justification among men who judge you, not God. And that's the Joseph Prince thing again of a bifurcation where you then got this psychosis, right? So here's the problem is that when a Christian then comes to the Mandela Effect and they go, well, I remember it this way and it's got to be that way. Well, they're already trained to do that. They're trained to do that with their doctrine on Scripture. So Scripture is always wrong. Scripture must not be right. There must be something wrong here. And they're trained to skip over it. Well, now they're at the stage where, the Scripture had to have been changed. And it wouldn't have been changed by God, so it had to be changed by the enemy. And it definitely couldn't be my memory, failing. So that's how we got there with these Christians who have been duped by the Mandela Effect. But I'm not saying that God didn't allow that to happen. He did. And it's closing in on them. It is a trap that God has sent a delusion on them. And if they do not accept and receive the love of the truth, they will be damned. And I'm warning you guys who are Mandela Effect Christians, you will be damned. If you do not humble yourself, you die to yourself, including exalting your memory above what's written in Scripture, just like you've been trained by the apostate churches with your false doctrines. You must die to yourself and live to Christ by taking up your cross and following Jesus. And it says daily. Die to yourself daily, every day. My memory, my mind is not above the testimony of God. No matter what these witches have introduced, what under the heading of Mandela Effect, trying to take our weakened memory and exalt it into a God. It's a very fancy trick. Don't listen to them. Listen to the testimony of God as it is written and humble yourself under it. No matter what you think it may have said, it says this. And you must die to yourself daily and live to Christ. May the Lord bless you as you seek him with all your heart.